Welcome to the Vergecast, the flagship podcast of disallowed user agents, which are a real thing that we somehow talk about more than you might think on this podcast. I'm your friend David Pierce.
Fun. The Vergecast is fun.
We make disallowing user agents fun. That's the slogan of this episode of the Vergecast. I'm your friend David Pierce. Neil Patel is here.
Hey, hello.
So this is a fun week on the Vergecast because you just get to like do a sort of a victory lap on like a thing you've been trying to make happen for a long time. But before we get to that, two little bits of housekeeping. I have a piece of information for you and a request for everybody right at the top of the show. We have a lot of news we're going to get into, I promise. But real quick, the version history episode this week is the Amazon Fire Phone, one of the great gadget disasters of like the Verge's lifetime, I would say.
Yeah.
Super fun episode. Go check that out. And also, we are now like deep into production on season 2 of Version History. We have 6 episodes we're in the middle of right now. And you and I are doing 2 of them together, Eli. And to everyone who is watching and listening to this right now, I want questions from you, and I want to hear your experiences about 2 gadgets in particular. The iPhone 4, which I think you could argue is like the most interesting story of the iPhone since the very first iPhone, and TiVo. Those are the 2 episodes you and I are doing together.
Yeah.
We're recording them in 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks. If you want to call the hotline, 866-VERGE11, tell us your stories, ask us your questions. We want to incorporate more like feedback into the show. This whole first season we recorded like months ago. So that was very hard to do. But now we're much closer to real time. So iPhone 4, TiVo. We have a bunch of other stuff coming up. We're doing Google Glass. We're doing the Nintendo Power Glove. We have all kinds of stuff coming up. But for you, iPhone 4, TiVo. Yeah. Send us questions. Send us thoughts.
I'm raring to go. I could do it right now. Can I say the one piece of feedback now that you've revealed that we taped these on months ago? The one comment you and I are both getting on the episodes that we're on, people are like, they look so rested after their break. And I'm like, no, this was before.
Yeah, I look so rested before I had another child. Like, yes, that is correct.
It's like, no, we that was pre-restedness.
Yeah,
it's gone now.
By the magic of editing, we recorded all these episodes in May, just so everyone knows. This is a long time ago. It gave us a lot of time to do stuff, but now we're much more in the groove of like, we're going to do them and then we're going to ship them, which means we get to like integrate people a lot more.
And when David says stuff, what he means is AI replace our faces with younger versions of ourselves. Younger, more rested.
We had
David
time
Pierce.
to Robert De Niro style de-age our faces in order to get them into version history. All right, let's get into it. So we have a lot of AI news, I think all sort of centered around this subject of like distribution and like how do you get to AI, which is increasingly becoming a key part of the AI story. We're also going to talk about some Apple stuff. We're going to ask questions about the Trump phone that will not have compelling answers. We have a whole bunch of stuff to do in the lightning round, but let's start with AI, and let's start with one very particular AI story, which is this fight that started this week between Amazon and Perplexity. And my very short summary of this, and then I want to get deep in the weeds on this, is basically Amazon sent a cease and desist letter to Perplexity saying, you are allowing people in Comet, the AI browser that Perplexity makes, to buy things through our agent on Amazon. Stop it. And Perplexity said, this is Amazon, a big company, bullying us, a startup, into playing its games because it's trying to do all kinds of shady stuff. These 2 companies are now like at a very legal crossroads fighting about what I think is like a core piece of the future of the web and is a thing you and I have been talking about on this show for a long time and that you have been, I would say trying to make a thing for a very long time.
I've been trying to make Fetch happen for 18
thing.
months. Yeah.
So what is the big picture here in your brain?
Can I zoom out one step farther even?
Sure.
Last week we talked a lot about AGI and the panel that would declare the existence of digital God. We've got some good suggestions on who should be on that panel. We'll set that aside. That's one version of what pays off all this investment, right? Sam Altman declares Jesus.
Right.
And then that was worth it. The other version, which is just as loud if you're paying attention, is we're going to do the App Store again, right? We're going to move the economy onto AI. And instead of having app stores on mobile phones, we're going to have apps and agents and services inside of an assistant that can help you out. And like a funny piece of that puzzle is like the investor class doing it is all of the same people who got rich doing the App Store.
Yeah.
Right. It's all the same VC funds. It's literally all the same characters. They're just like, can we run this playbook again? And hilariously, Microsoft, which famously missed out on a smartphone, is like all in on AI. Can we move the app economy into AI agents and copilots, and all the services will be here?
Right.
Because they're all pretty mad at the App Store. Right. Like in general, we've talked about that forever, right? The dynamics of Apple and Google's app stores and all the lawsuits and blah, blah, blah. Developers don't love it. If you are Elon Musk, you're loud about how much you hate it. If you're Mark Zuckerberg, you're loud about how much you hate it.
To be clear, it's like a jealous mad from all of them, though, right? It is like the biggest, deepest, most valuable moat anyone has created in 15 years, and everybody's very jealous of it.
Yeah, and Apple's revenue every quarter is big. Like every year, they're like, our services revenue increased, and it's like, yeah dude, like you take 30% of every button push on the iPhone. Like if there's more iPhones, you're gonna make more money. That's how it goes. So that's like the big dynamic. Can we make digital God? Can Sam Altman declare that the Pope and the Dalai Lama have found Jesus in the GPU? That's one version of this pays off. The other one is, can we do the App Store again? Can we create a new operating system for all the applications, and then we'll be the ones who collect all the rents, and that will make all this worth it?
Right.
I don't know. Like that's the push. Like we can see it. We don't know how it will be built. That's like a good ongoing story. Very Vergecast-y. Like there's a format war about MCP and how Apple might do it, and all this other stuff happening there. There's a distribution war. Will Apple just win with Siri?
Right.
I don't know. But what you've written about this week, and I think what we see from Amazon and Perplexity, is a major front in this fight is, can we just do this in the web browser? Can we just put a web browser out there that clicks around for you, and then we won't really need to do APIs and App Store deals. We'll just do the clicking for the user, and we'll like charge the user some money, and then it'll be fine. And we've seen like 50 cuts at this already, right? OpenAI launched computer use like over a year ago. Google has experiments in Chrome that it was showing off in I/O. You wrote this week about all of the new browsers that are out that have basically the same idea. And what I've been like screaming for the past year and a half is, yo, these application providers are not going to let you do this. The thing that I've been trying to make happen is calling it the DoorDash problem. Because if you run a DoorDash or Airbnb or ZocDoc or TaskRabbit, being disintermediated by Sam Altman is not your dream in life.
No.
Right? Like letting the agent come and use your service as a commodity provider of sandwiches actually destroys your business. If you're Uber and Lyft, letting the agents show up and book cars and literally just like ask both websites and pick the cheapest one, and the user never knows what happened, actually destroys your business. Right? You don't get to upsell into all the things that Uber wants to upsell. You don't get to do dynamic pricing. You don't get to do credit card deals. All this stuff that makes you money on top of the core service kind of goes away. And so I've spent a year on Decoder asking the CEOs of these companies, what are you going to do about the DoorDash problem? And they all, like down the line, like Brian Chesky, Oliver Kraz, the CEO of ZocDoc, like the CEOs of Uber and Lyft, they've all been on the show. I've asked them all these questions. I've asked Sundar Pichai this question from the other perspective. What are you going to do when these people say no? And basically they're all like, we're going to work it out, right? Everyone's a good actor. Everyone knows what's happening. We're going to work it out. The money will move out. And Perplexity, the startup, just went and did it, right? They're just like, we're just going to click around on Amazon and buy stuff for you. We're not going to ask for permission. We're a startup. And Amazon, I think, is saying, no, we're definitely not going to let you just do this. Like we are powerful enough to say the Amazon software experience belongs to us. And you are not allowed to just show up on our website with a robot and click around on behalf of the user unless we agree. And I think there's a lot of ways to look at this. But even if you read the comments and the stories we've written about it, people are like, well, it's my robot. I can go make it do whatever I want on the web.
Sure.
And then there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, this makes sense. Like Amazon has the right to say no, right? In its terms of service. Like you can't just scrape Amazon. They can say no to other stuff. And then there's the, should you like pass a fee on? Should it cost more to let the robot shop on Amazon for you? Can Amazon detect that it's Perplexity and charge higher rates to cover the loss it might foresee? Like there's a lot of ways to cut this, but because it's Perplexity, they didn't make a deal. They just started doing it. And I think Amazon is coming down as hard as it can to basically cut off the idea that this is acceptable at the pass before the deals get made.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me that it's Amazon in particular doing this. Like it made me think of, the war that has sort of been going on in your email inbox for years where Gmail is desperate to pull information out of your email to get shipping information and be able to track your packages and all this stuff. And that becomes like, if Gmail can know what I bought on Amazon, that becomes like an incredibly powerful marketing engine for Google. Amazon does not want Google to have that. So Amazon is like increasingly obfuscating all of the stuff that it sends you in the receipts and confirmation emails. They're in this like cat and mouse game because Amazon is desperate to hold on to every single tiny data and logistical advantage that it has. Maybe more so than any other company I can think of. It is like desperate to be the whole thing and not let anyone into any part of it. And here comes Perplexity. That's just like, according to Amazon's cease and desist letter, what Perplexity is doing is showing up with its agents and with its bots and pretending to be Google Chrome so as to be completely impossible to detect from Amazon. And if you go to Amazon's robots.txt page, as one does from time to time, Amazon does not allow any of the AI bots. Like anyone you can think of, it is blocking. And all of these bots have a long history of doing sketchy stuff to get around it. They present themselves as other things in order to crawl their websites. But Amazon does not want you to crawl Amazon.com for a whole variety of reasons, right? And in this case, what Amazon is alleging is that Comet, Perplexity's browser, just pretends to be Chrome. And so it just shows up and is like, what's up? I'm a Chrome browser. Nothing weird is happening here. I would like to buy some toilet paper, please. And on the one hand, Amazon's case here is like what you're being is sketchy, right? It's not the crime, it's the cover up. Like they're doing a thing in a deeply untransparent way. That seems pretty straightforwardly to me to be like a nice legalese way into stop doing this with your agents altogether before we have any like legal precedent for what to do about AI agents. But it is just, it's the way everybody is doing this is very telling, right? Like you said, Perplexity kind of has no reason to make a deal with Amazon. It also has no leverage with which to make a deal with Amazon, right? Like Perplexity is this company out here loudly proclaiming that it wants to buy TikTok and loudly proclaiming that it wants to buy Chrome. And meanwhile, it doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together to buy either of those companies. Like
it has nickels.
I mean, it doesn't have the nickels to rub together for those.
It doesn't have billions upon billions of nickels,
right.
But it has a substantial number of nickels.
It has enough nickels. It's doing fine. Yeah. But I think Perplexity in this space is by far the least powerful of its competitors, right? Next to it, you have Google, you have OpenAI, you have Apple, you have some of like the biggest players in tech. Comparatively, Perplexity is very small. So it's actually probably in their interest to be the ones willing to play fast and loose because they just don't have any other moves. Like to some extent, I admire the growth hacking of it all, but it's tough when you run into Amazon because nobody will fight harder on this exact front than Amazon.
So it's really fascinating to me is thinking about Amazon in the context of being a service provider like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, which you don't usually do, right?
No.
You think of it as this monster. But you zoom out and you're like, oh, they are just sort of a commodity provider of dropship Chinese garbage. Like at the highest level, right? The highest level of abstraction, you can type any phrase into Amazon and some products will appear and most of them are drop shipped. Like that's just the way it goes. And they're all from the same 5 factories.
Yeah. And they're all called like Blarkful. It's like IKEA, but with more consonants is all of the Amazon brands.
And that is if you're operating the Amazon retail store, there's some stuff you have that no one else has. But what you really have is convenience and what you really have is Prime and what you really have is like habit. And it is maybe easier to break that than it is to break, I just use Uber to get a car. Like in a really weird way, having the agent go shop for you and find you the lowest price on the thing you want is more compelling than open Amazon because you're used to it in a way that I'm going to open both Uber and Lyft and get a car versus I'm already an Uber subscriber and I'm just going to like open the app that I'm used to because I'm used to how it works.
Right.
Like that might be fine. And when I talked to Dara Khosrowshahi, the CEO of Uber Undecoder, or David Risher, the CEO of Lyft, they're basically like, those are our customers anyway, right? Like we're fine. Like the credit card deals and the stuff are actually a moat. They're like a meaningful moat for us. And we're just going to, change how we do services and make sure we have enough drivers. And we know how to play this game. We were already commodities. Like it's fine. I talked to Oliver Krause, the CEO of ZocDoc, and he was basically like, try to make a ZocDoc. Like good luck. Like this sucked for me. It was basically like, do you have any competition? He was like, no. Like, come on, OpenAI. Try to make a list of all the doctors and the insurances they take and comply with HIPAA. Like, you don't want to do that. Just pay me the money and I'll do it for you. Like, I'll be your pipes, but at a very high rate.
Wait, can I read you the thing that he said specifically? Yeah. So this is Oliver Krause, the CEO of ZocDoc. talking to you on Decoder about the DoorDash problem. He says, here are the questions you should ask yourself. Question number 1, are these agents simply going to completely displace yourself? Anyone who's running a business that interacts with the real world knows that's not going to be the case because of the learning curve, because of all the edge cases and all these things. Even if the AIs were to start learning about them, we're so much further ahead, we can always deliver a better experience. And this is my favorite part. So this is the Coast of England problem. Our cartographers have been at this for 20 years. There's no way that anyone would catch up to us anytime soon, so they're not going to put us out of business. First of all, first time I've ever heard of the Coast of England problem. Love it very much. Second, this is like a lot of confidence from somebody in Oliver's position. Do you? I have a hard time buying this theory for almost anybody. That like, if we are at a place where we're gonna boil the world down to a series of databases, no database is impenetrable.
To me, this is the heart of what I've been calling the DoorDash problem, right? If you are just a commodity provider of listings, you're dead.
Yeah.
Here are
right.
all the sandwiches.
Right.
There's no way to charge more for being the best list of sandwiches in a world where the AI can look at all the lists. By the way, we should specify the Coast of England problem is that there's always more detail to study in the Coast of England, like fractally infinite detail on the Coast of England. And so he's like, we will just always have more information. Right. That is maybe too much confidence. I would say we interact with the United States health insurance system is maybe not too confident.
Fair.
Even the AI can't figure out the United States healthcare industry is like a better argument. But, right after he said that, I asked him, who's your competition? He said, no one. And that's what he means.
Right.
Right. It's like we are effectively a monopoly for this service. That it's funny to think of Amazon as not having that kind of moat, right? Is not having anything that really keeps you shopping on Amazon if you can get a lower price for the same product somewhere else that the AI can just go and find you.
Yeah.
And some of these other service providers, maybe even DoorDash, maybe even the commodity provider of sandwiches has more of a moat than Amazon. My frustration is that I'm calling the DoorDash problem for a year and a half, trying to make it happen. By the way, if you work at DoorDash, can you get your CEO, Tony, to come on Decoder so I can ask him about the DoorDash problem? That would be great. We're working on it. I did make DoorDash problem happen. And then Amazon shows up out of the blue and they're like, we're the biggest commodity provider of all. And they get into this fight with Perplexity. And now everyone, I think, can see it. And it's going to be the fight. Because if you think the money is making the next app store, making the next great interface for computing, right? I want shoes and it just goes and gets you shoes. Then this is the fight, because you might not have to build all the APIs, all the operating system keys, all of the business deals in the back end. You might just be able to let your web browser go run around the internet and go through the front door and say, hi, I'm Google Chrome. Can I loot your store shelves? Right. And Amazon might not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, in fact, there's very little Amazon, technically speaking, can do about it. It's what all of these companies are getting away with. It's very easy to hide what you're doing until it becomes obvious how much bandwidth you're pulling. And at that point, it's too late, right? Like by the time I've downloaded your site, it doesn't matter whether you notice or not. But I think the thing to me is like, I've actually kind of done a 180 on this, because I think a year or so ago, I was a believer that actually there were going to be a lot of companies that would be happy to be dumb databases, that it's like, okay, Uber makes most of its money when you get a ride, right? So Uber in theory is incentivized to give you every possible way to get a ride. And it's like they were playing this game with Alexa a while ago, and like Uber is one of those companies that it's like anything with a screen gets Assassin's Creed, and like anything that will let you do transactions, Uber tends to be there. But it does feel like the AI thing in particular is a breaking point on that, because it's like not only is this going to book me a ride that I then look at in the Uber app to see when it's arriving, right? And I think this is the thing that I missed at first, right? It's like Uber is very happy to offload the like first part of the transaction, because what it does is pop up a notification on my phone that says your Uber's going to be here in 5 minutes. And that's where Uber makes all of its next money, is getting me to open the app and do more things in the app and upgrade. And like it funnels me in that direction. And what agents are doing is just completely subverting every part of that process, right? So it's like, it's not getting me into Uber's ecosystem, it is just bypassing it entirely. And so your business becomes exclusively about whatever fees you're taking when I book a ride, which presumably the Perplexities and OpenAIs of the world are going to want a piece of as they go. Like OpenAI's CFO was on stage at a Wall Street Journal tech conference this week saying that like the only way that any of this money works for OpenAI is if it participates in the revenue of the companies that it partners with. So it's like if you use OpenAI's tech to create new drugs, OpenAI should profit from those drugs, which is like an insane economic theory.
Sure.
But it's like if this stuff gets big enough, that's what all of these companies will ask for. And if you're Uber, that's death, right? Like all of a sudden, this thing is not only going to disintermediate me, it's going to ask for some of my margin, is the end of so many of these businesses.
That it's already imposing pressure on,
right?
Because all of your other parts of your business are going away. Yeah, I don't know. Like none of that makes sense to me unless you think about Apple and the App Store and the fact that the entire economy is mediated by smartphones, and Apple has just been taking 30% of that economy for quite a while.
Well, right? And there's a long list of stuff that hasn't really existed on smartphones as a result, right? Like I was just talking to Cory Doctorow the other day, who like has done his own audiobooks himself on the side, because there literally is not a business for audiobooks outside of like playing Amazon's one single very specific game, because the margins aren't high enough. You can't do it. Like Apple has destroyed businesses because there aren't 30% margins to give to Apple. And now you're just expanding that to the size of the universe, because not only can you not do that, you can't make it up by putting me in your app and showing me ads or upselling me or any of this stuff. It's all just decreasing to zero.
Yeah. And I recognize, this is very businessy for the Vergecast, but this is the fight about the future of computing. It starts with Perplexity is setting its user agent as Google Chrome, and it ends with, is it economically viable to make anything? Because OpenAI wants a piece of it if ChatGPT is the interface for all computing. And that is kind of crazy. It's like, I'm always joking, like, I know what the Verge is going to cover for the next 10 years. Like, we're fine. Like, the story is writing itself every single day. But like, what is a computer is kind of up for grabs right now.
Yep.
And it does start with, well, robots.txt is just a handshake agreement that everyone made. Like, David, you wrote a piece about this like almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
That like this was a very informal, like, how do we reduce the cost of all the bots showing up on our website, because it was really expensive back then. And now it, like, the world economy hinges on whether or not Perplexity respects robots.txt. And that can't hold.
No. And we've been running towards this for a while, and we're about to see who has actual power in this space. And the Perplexities and the OpenAIs are all betting that the user interface, like being the thing that people are accessing to go do this stuff, is what is the power in this relationship, right? That's like the iPhone had all the power because it's the thing you're holding.
Right. Do you want to be Apple and Google?
Right. And it's like, I buy that much more powerfully in a piece of dedicated hardware that does lots of other things. It's hard to see how powerful that is when you're a text box that is replaceable by a bunch of other text boxes, which is, again, the browser thing. Like, browsers are super sticky. And once you pick a browser and you put all of your extensions into it and you have all your bookmarks and you have all your history, it's pretty hard to make people switch browsers. Like, this is why Chrome has been so successful for 15 years, despite not being very good. All of these companies now see that. And they're like, okay, if we can get you in, we can get this giant trove of data on you, and we can make sure that we are the text box. And if we can be the text box, the world has to give us what we want.
It's interesting. So you wrote that piece this week. We put the headline Web War 3 on it. Part of your thesis is this is the third browser war.
Yeah.
Right. The first one was at the very beginning. The second one was when Chrome decided that it would do web apps and we would have a standards battle over web apps. And this is the third one, agentic browsers. I went back, I just looked at all of the magazine covers from the 90s. It's crazy to me that there isn't massive coverage of this in like the business community right now. Maybe it's too wonky. Maybe people don't care. Maybe you can't see it. But if you just go back to like 1998, Microsoft versus Netscape was on the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
In some of the wildest art that has ever been put on the cover of Time magazine. It was on the cover of Byte magazine. It was on the cover of Business Week. Everyone knew that whatever you thought of the dot-com bubble, whoever got the browser was going to win the next turn. And Microsoft obviously sold itself out trying to win that battle, to the point where there was a massive antitrust case.
Right.
And they were like essentially forced to lose. Inside of that, Netscape got all distracted. There's a great cover of Wired magazine called The Firefox Revolt, because Netscape got too bloated and Firefox was the winner for a minute. And then out of that came Chrome, right? That's a lot. somewhere in there, Apple decided to do Safari as well.
Sure.
By the way, the deal that saved Apple in the 90s, that was Microsoft pumping money into Apple. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates made that deal. There's another very famous cover of Time magazine that's a photo of Steve Jobs like kneeling on a stage at rehearsal for Macworld, and it's just a quote that just says "Thank you, Bill."
Oh wow,
crazy! This is crazy stuff. Like this is mainstream news, right? That Apple and Microsoft are making a deal where Internet Explorer will be the default browser on the iMac, and that's going to save Apple. But we knew the stakes of the browser battle back then. Like they were mainstream business and cultural stakes. You're in the grocery store and you see a picture of Steve Jobs on stage, black and white, and it says, "Thank you, Bill." Like that's the level of cultural consciousness the browser wars had back then. We're doing it again now. I mean, I think your piece, like, it's a lot of people talking about what the browser represents, but it is the app. It's the only app platform that you can deploy in a world where you think AI is this important, because it doesn't mean you have to run into the iPhone.
Right.
Because you cannot make this product on the iPhone. You can only make it on desktop because there's not as many restrictions on desktop.
Well, and it means it's a shortcut into every business deal you would otherwise make, right? Like the thing I've heard from a couple of browser makers is like what nobody understands is that once you log into your bank, your browser just has the cookie to your bank, which means your browser is just logged into your bank. Like I have now handed my browser access to my bank, and the browser could go do stuff if it wanted to on my bank. Like
this seems bad.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I think to some extent, this has really opened my eyes to like, we maybe should have all thought a lot harder about our browsers over the years. But also, like, you get all of my browsing data. You get a representation and confirmation that I am me to every single app that I use. And you put an agent next to that can theoretically go click around for me. Like, there just is no other version of that setup that is that powerful.
Well, so there is one version. We should talk about this. Right, it's your smartphone. Your smartphone has that. It has biometric authentication. Yeah. It can see your eyes. It can look at your fingerprints. It has not just cookies, but all kinds of other trackers and ways of knowing you are you. And both smartphone makers thus far have like seemed reticent to take the next step. Obviously, Google's way ahead because they own Gemini, and I think the way they're marketing the Pixel and other phones now is more AI forward, but it's not you can just talk to your phone and it'll just like go off and use your bank for you. Like they're not anywhere near there. Apple has made those promises with Siri. They got effectively nowhere. And now there's news this week that they're going to use Gemini for Apple Intelligence.
Yep.
That seems like, okay, well, the phone makers will figure this out, right? If this is the big existential threat to the big smartphone platforms and one of them owns, depending on the rankings week by week, the best model, like they're just going to get there. And then Apple will just buy it from them the same way they bought search.
Yeah, it's an interesting bet from Apple that won't shift the power dynamic in a huge way, right? Because like that's Apple betting that the smartphone is still more important than the model. And at this moment, I think Apple's pretty clearly right about that. That like going and getting a very good. So the news that we've heard is that Apple is basically buying a custom version of Gemini, like a 1.2 trillion parameter model, really big Gemini model, but a sort of spun off one just for Apple. And they're apparently, I think this is all according to Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, going to pay $1 billion a year for it, which is to say they're going to take $1 billion less from Google every year in exchange for this thing. For Apple, this is just a kind of an admission of failure that Apple couldn't do it itself. Like we've watched Apple try to figure out how to do this, and that has clearly not gone well. And
I would also point out Apple made a big deal about partnering with OpenAI when it announced Apple Intelligence. It made some whispers about Gemini at that same WWDC, but nothing came of it.
Right.
I never expected Apple to go train a foundation model.
I think I did briefly. And again, that's the bet, right? It's like where is the locus of power in your relationship with users? And Apple is kind of, as a company, happy to bet that the answer is hardware. And that as long as you are using our devices, A, you will play by our rules, and B, we are going to own all of the important parts of your user experience. The bet that all of these other companies are making, the bet of ChatGPT and the bet of Claude, is that actually what's going to matter is I'm going to have this relationship with this model, this character, this bot that is going to supersede all of that. And it won't matter what hardware I buy because I'm just going to want to hang out with ChatGPT everywhere, all the time. And like the thing I kept coming back to in this story about browsers, and Jake Kastronakis, who edited the story, kept pushing me to do even more of this, is be like, you have to remember that all of this is just essentially at this point propaganda from the AI companies, right? Like there's actually not evidence yet that that is going to become our primary way of doing anything. Lots of people use ChatGPT all the time for lots of things. It is not a more like primary device than your smartphone at this point. Chrome is still setting market share records. Like this change might happen. It has not happened yet. And like, again, like to go back to the thing about the first web browser wars was like, everybody was directionally correct, right? That like the thing that was changing was that a lot of things that we used to not do on the internet, we started doing on the internet. And like, there was a big question about like, are people going to be comfortable putting their banking information on the internet? And like, yeah, we were. It took a while, but we got there. And the ones who stuck through it, companies like Amazon, benefited in gigantic ways by being at the front of that. And that's what all these companies are betting again. But just because it was right the first time doesn't at all guarantee it's going to happen again.
The what will people use ChatGPT for? My dad's turning 80. It's a real thing that's happening. Where my cousins are in charge of making the photo book for his birthday party, right? We were like having a big birthday party. And my cousin texted me the other day and said, hey, can you brighten up this photo of your parents on a beach? I asked ChatGPT to do it.
Whoa.
Because the magic robot will just do stuff for you. And I swear to God, and I'm not going to show the pictures of my parents, but I swear to God, this is backed up by the photo that it generated. She followed up with, it made your mom Filipino. And it did. It just replaced my parents in the photo with just two different people. And then she said, in this one, I try to get your dad to smile because he wasn't smiling. He's wearing a Packer shirt in like the mid 2000s. He's definitely not smiling. We weren't very good. This is like the Favre Rodgers transition era in my belief. And it just a totally different guy, like a totally different guy wearing not even a green, like a different sweatshirt. Like it didn't even say Green Bay on it. And it's like the robot will just confidently do stuff.
Yeah.
So people's expectations are that it can just do stuff, and they're going to keep asking. It won't say no. So first of all, I want you all to know I had what can only be described as a full-on existential crisis at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. My sister just literally goes, "Are you okay?" Just because
you think they'd be used to this by now.
Side channel, like, "Are you okay?" And all I wrote back was like, "Please don't do this." And then I edited the photos. I brightened up the faces, just using Lightroom in 5 seconds. It was fine. But like that's the expectation, right?
Right.
Like
it
the expectation is
it
can do anything,
yeah.
And there's no that like should we give the computer our banking information? That barrier is gone. Right. Yeah. There's no, like the idea that like people care about privacy on Facebook. Like we've been trying to make people care about privacy on Facebook for 20 years. They
Yep.
just don't.
Yep.
And so if the magic robot can do more stuff, I think there's just an inexorable pull towards letting it do stuff, even when it obviously cannot. Right. Even when it's like, that is super not my mom. But like, can you do it for me? Because I asked the robot to do it and I tried nothing else. It was like a real experience that you can have now with like friends and family who are addicted to ChatGPT. And I think there's more power there than anyone expects. I think whether or not that power is like rightfully situated with Sam Altman is a question a lot of companies are asking themselves.
Yes.
Right. That's me saying, that's me pointing out that Apple made its Apple Intelligence announcements with OpenAI, but it looks like it's going to go with Gemini. I think Apple thinks Google is a more reliable partner, even though they're competing on what the user interface of the future will be.
Right.
Even though the Pixel is more of a threat in an AI world to the iPhone than it's ever been before, I think Apple thinks Google is a more reliable partner because they have a long history of like, co-opetition. OpenAI, who knows what they're going to do tomorrow? Yep. Like tomorrow, like, they're like, literally. We took all of your IP and now you can generate any store that you want of Tim Cook. Like, whoops.
Yeah.
Like, and I think all of that is yet to be shaken out. But I do think the idea that the AI will just sort of always deliver an answer is way more powerful to regular people than anyone is giving it credit for.
Yes, I agree with that. I've been polling a lot of people in this space recently on like a thing that I can't get over, and it's the thing we've talked about before, which is that like these tools are really fun to use and talk to, and it is like the characters of them are super compelling to people, even though it sucks at most of the activities that you ask it to do, right? Like the person you're talking about, they tried to brighten up a photo, like they probably had a nice time doing that, right? It's like this is a failed experiment, but the like process of doing this with ChatGPT, people like actually have a good time. And the thing I'm coming to realize is that is way more of the game than I realized. Like I keep asking people like, okay, you've made a bot that people like to talk to, but can't do very much. How much runway does being fun to talk to actually get you? And over and over and over, people keep telling me you have like way more than you think.
Yeah.
It's most of the thing. Like being fun to talk to is actually most of the game. And these things are fun to talk to.
When Sam Altman had the big live stream after announcing the Microsoft deal and this stuff, the sort of like questions from the audience were not about the business deals or about frontier capabilities. They were all like, when are you going to take the guardrails off and like really let me bang the robot? You know? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is what people want. Like they want a buddy and who's like very capable of doing all the stuff, and then also trying to bang them on the front page of the New York Times,
or tries to like convince you to do crimes against people. All right, we should get off this subject, but before we do, Eric Gomez, our producer, said just a truly wild thing to us right before we started recording. And Eric, I would like you to defend yourself. What is the thing that you just said offhand, out of nowhere? Welcome to the show, Eric, by the way.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I regret my decision. Comet is my daily driver for web browsing.
Like on purpose?
On purpose.
You downloaded Comet and you use it for all of your browsing?
Yes, I fell down a rabbit hole. Follow me on this. There's a whole logic and there's a reason for my madness. So it starts with Xfinity, actually. So as as a subscriber to
wait, this is great because now we have to disclose. This is not a place I thought we were going to go, but now we have to disclose. Disclosure: Comcast is a minority investor in Fox Media.
But it's not good. Like whatever the story is not. I'm guaranteed is not end up with. If you started with Xfinity and ended with I use an AI browser, like nothing good happened. Go ahead.
So I use Xfinity as my service provider because it's the only option we have here in Eastern Connecticut. Great.
Because it's a monopoly. You see?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Wonderful. And so, as a subscriber, you get all these different types of perks and discounts and stuff. And I remember around this time last year, they were giving a special deal where you get a whole year of Perplexity Pro for free. So I was like, hey, why not? So I signed up for it. And, it gives you access to Perplexity Pro, which is like, you get faster response times and access to all the latest AI models and deeper research and all the cool stuff that you get with these premium AI subscriptions. And so I just kept using it. I like Perplexity as a web browser. I mean, as a search engine, because it's like, it gets me most of the answers that I'm looking for, or if not, it gives me like 80% of the way there. And then, Perplexity announces a web browser, and it was exclusive, invite only to Perplexity Pro users.
That's how they get you.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, interesting. I already get the service for free, so let me try this out. And so I just kind of started using it. I moved off of Arc. Arc was my daily driver previously, but as we all know, the browser company is kind of moving on from that and doing the DL browser now. And as much as I love Arc, I know it's like slowly dying or dying a slow death. And so I was like, all right, let me try this Comet thing. And, it's fine. It's good. That's
all right.
Good.
It's fine. Is it? I will grant you it's fine.
Yeah. And try another cut at this question. So just try it again for like why you like Comet versus Chrome.
All right. So let's say this. I was never a fan of Chrome. I was actually a Safari user for a long time, but then using working for the Verge, everything is all like using Google Apps. And so, I was kind of forced to use Chrome because it just makes everything easier.
That is literally Google's plan.
Yep. And so, I know that Comet is just a Chromium browser. So I was like, well, this is mostly the same thing. Let me just move over to this thing. And it works mostly the same. And I don't really see that much of a difference between the two, except for like all the agentic AI stuff. And so I don't really use it for that. It's mostly for like, the response and the quickness and the faster access to stuff when it comes to using Perplexity as a service.
Man, somewhere somebody on Perplexity's biz dev team just got a raise. Like just right then, whoever made that deal with Xfinity. And I just like, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like when you go to a lot of publisher websites, the one that comes to mind for me is the Washington Post, but I know they've done this with a bunch of others. You hit the paywall, but it offers you, like, if you download Comet, you can read this article. Perplexity is finding like fascinating ways to hack its way into getting you to use your browser to get access to things. It's very clever. I don't know how well it's working. It clearly worked on you, Eric, but I don't know how well it's working like in the grand scheme of things. But Perplexity is like, it is really after how do we hook you into using this thing? Because once you're in, you'll be in and you'll stay in.
Maybe. Eric, what would make you switch from Perplexity to something else?
I just wish the browser company would have just built the AI features into Arc.
Fair. Well, here's the real question: when your Perplexity Pro subscription runs out, are you going to pay for it?
So funny thing, it auto billed me the other day, so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm using another year of this thing.
That's how they get you, man.
Another raise for the biz dev team.
Someone learned something from Xfinity.
I forgot to toggle that button, and now I got another.
Tell the AI
charge.
agent to auto cancel before I see it.
I should.
Let's see if it. Ask it to that. See if it does come out next week, and let us know if Perplexity will auto cancel itself.
That's very good.
I'll try.
All right. In the meantime, Eric, thank you. We need to take a break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some Mac news that we're both very interested in. We'll be right back.
Support for this show comes from LinkedIn. When you're a small business owner, your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. LinkedIn's new features can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. Either post your job for free or pay to promote. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of SMBs using LinkedIn say that it helps them find high-quality candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/track. That's linkedin.com/track to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Support for the show comes from Crucible Moments, a podcast from Sequoia Capital. We've all had pivotal decision points in our lives that, whether we know it or not at the time, changed everything. This is especially true in business. Like, did you know that autonomous drone delivery company Zipline originally produced a robotic toy? Or that Bolt went from an Estonian transportation company to one of the largest rideshare and food delivery platforms in the world? That's what Crucible Moments is all about. Deep diving into make or break moments that set the course for some of the most important tech companies of our time, with interviews from some of the key players that made these companies a success. Hosted by Sequoia Capital's managing partner, Roelof Botha, Crucible Moments is back for a new season with stories of companies as they navigated the most consequential crossroads in their journeys. Hear conversations with leaders at Zipline, Stripe, Palo Alto Networks, Klarna, Supercell, and more. Subscribe to Season 3 of Crucible Moments and catch up on Seasons 1 and 2 at cruciblemoments.com, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to Crucible Moments today.
All right, we're back. So 2 fascinating bits of Apple news. One is David's victory lap of the week, which is that iOS 26.1 is out and it lets you basically undo liquid glass. I was right, and everyone who said liquid glass is good was wrong. So yay for me. Download it. Do the thing that makes it a little more opaque. Your life will get much better. The really interesting piece of news, and part of me can't figure out why I can't stop thinking about this, is there was a report this week, the latest in a long line of reports that suggests that Apple is working on a cheaper, I think substantially under $1,000 laptop powered by an iPhone chip. This is like a sort of mythical machine in recent Apple history, the like low-cost MacBook.
Oh, in forever Apple history. The $500 Mac is like, it's the sun around which all other Apple rumors orbit.
But it seems like at least there is a lot of smoke right now about it, right? It is the kind of thing that pops up every once in a while. We hear about it every once in a while, but it seems to be happening. And my question for you, Nilay, is A, do you buy this rumor? And B, why on earth would Apple build a cheap laptop?
So I do buy this rumor.
Okay.
Weirdly, Apple makes more products than ever, but not enough products.
What?
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, if you think back to the Steve Jobs days, like he was like, we make too many products. I'm getting rid of everything. We're going to do a grid, a 2x2 grid.
Yeah.
A laptop, a desktop, consumer and professional. And then he started putting products in the grid. So you had the PowerBook, the Power Mac, the iMac, and then the iBook. And we should talk about what the iBook was in a minute. Apple now, that's gone. Like that simplicity is gone.
Yes.
Right? They make more SKUs of everything, and all of it feels like a game where they're trying to get $500 for you to double your RAM or storage.
Sure.
And you're trying not to do that. And then at some point you're like, I should just buy the next model up. And so like I would say they make more products than ever before, but like not enough products that actually clearly fit the markets they're in.
Yeah, I buy that. They're perpetually trying to push you to the like second most expensive thing they sell.
Yeah, it's like I just bought a Mac Studio, and I started with a Mac Mini, and I just sort of configured my way to like, I'm going to buy a base model Mac Studio. And I feel great about it, to be clear, because I got the fancier computer.
Nice.
But it was just like this exercise in none of this really makes sense. Like none of these products are like well-defined for the thing they need to be. And Apple would totally disagree with you. I know they would, because we talk to them about their products all the time. And like, this is for students, and this is for illustrators, and this is for the cool kid. Like whatever. But like actually going to buy an Apple product is more confusing than ever. So I look at this, I'm like, oh, this solves a problem for Apple, which is that if you show up with $800 in your pocket and you're like, I want a laptop, all you can do right now is you can get like a discounted last year's laptop, which is not what people want.
Well, and to that point though, they did the deal with Walmart to sell the like now years old M1 MacBook Air, and by all accounts that's been a massive success.
Right. And so when I see a cheaper Mac laptop with an iPhone chip, first of all, the M1 is an iPhone chip.
Sure.
Right. They prototyped Mac OS on ARM, like on A series chips back in the day. Right. So like the M1, it's different. I know it's different, but like the jump they took started with an iPhone chip. And now we're many, many more generations beyond the M1, which is still performing fine on computers are selling today. So you can see how they'd be like, oh, we could just take a more powerful iPhone chip that will outperform the M1 and like call it a day, right? Like we don't need to keep selling and supporting the M1 forever. We can actually just move the architecture to like more modern chips and more modern process. It's Apple. They love a supply chain tweak, like you can see how they get there. But I think what they're actually trying to do is expand the market in a coherent way that isn't just cut down versions of products they sell. They're actually going to make a product that targets like students for real. The question is, why isn't that thing already the MacBook Air? Like, why do you need to do this instead of saying the MacBook Air is our general purpose consumer machine? And it starts now at $700. Why do you need to make another one? I feel like you have a theory about this.
I do and I don't. I mean, I think it's been really interesting that like right now as we speak, there is maybe the best deal I've ever seen on the M4 MacBook Air, which is like a fabulous, still relatively brand new laptop. You can get it on Amazon for $749, which is like a preposterously good deal for a MacBook Air. So it's like, it's odd that that's happening, but it does seem like Apple as a company is driven by price points in a way that I don't think we've ever seen it be before. And in fact, the company has loudly proclaimed that it is not driven by like
they hate it when you point this out.
Right. And they have always said, and will continue to always say out loud, that they're like, no, we make the best products and we, they cost what they cost, and people pay for them because they want the best products. Like, increasingly, this is a company that is very happy to have something at every $50. And to me, what I'm trying to figure out about this one is which of two directions it goes. And one direction is Chromebooks, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? That the education market, like you said, is huge. And for a long time, Apple was everywhere in the education market. Like, I grew up with those like sort of translucent eMacs in my classrooms. Like those are the first computers I really used. That's gone now. All of that got eaten by Chromebooks and Chrome OS. And now if you're a student, you're not getting a Mac or an iPad, which I think Apple hoped you would. You get a Chromebook because they're cheap and they're easy to administer, and schools buy tons of them. So either Apple is just going to try and go way down market and charge whatever $5.99, so still be the premium one, but like much cheaper. Do the thing in schools and for students, try to hook people early and sort of play the game it was playing at the turn of the century. Or, and this is the thing I hope but assume is not the case, this is how Apple like reinvents the idea of what the old 12-inch MacBook can be. Because if the what you get when you do an iPhone chip is you get things like easy adoption of a cellular modem, and you get even better battery efficiency because you have to run the thing on a smaller device. Like, just take that 12-inch MacBook, take out the horrible keyboard, put in a good keyboard, put in an iPhone chip and all of the stuff that comes on that System O chip inside of the iPhone, just lift it out of the iPhone 17 and put it into a 12-inch MacBook. I would buy the hell out of that computer. You, I know, liked a 12-inch MacBook.
I loved a 12-inch MacBook.
More than was probably appropriate.
That was my go-to airplane computer for years.
Is this not like an incredibly exciting device idea to you? This
Maybe.
is so exciting to me.
Can I just ask you the obvious question here?
Okay.
Didn't you just describe an iPad?
So,
the iPad is turning 10 on the Tuesday after people hear this
the iPad
episode.
Pro is turning
10.
10.
The iPad Pro. Sure. What is the distinction here, right?
Who's to say? So I think it could have been, but I think Apple made a bunch of decisions that has essentially precluded that being the case. Like, you can't do a lot of the things you want to do on an iPad. It's just still true. There's more and more you can do on an iPad, and iPads have tons of power. The iPad Pro is like an unbelievable computer, and if I could take that shell and run a Mac and run Mac OS on it, it would be great. But just for my own
let me ask you another question, Siebenhaar. What does Mac OS represent to you in your heart?
Desktop class browser. Like, fundamentally, I will tell you what I'm looking at.
Chrome.
What I'm looking at on my computer right now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 browser windows.
You want Chrome, and you want the ability to run Electron apps, because most of the native Mac apps that we use for productivity, at least in our workplace, are Electron apps.
Yeah.
Right? They're web apps and fancy wrappers. Sure, there's other apps on my computer that are right, but like Lightroom exists on the iPad. It's Chrome. You're saying desktop class. It's like amazing to me that Apple has just nerfed the iPad so hard after this whole conversation we had about browsers just a second ago. They don't see it because it's a threat to their app model and their taxes.
Well, no, it's not. No, they don't see it. Gives Apple like not enough malicious credit. Like, Apple sees it very clearly. And a thing that came up a couple of times in reporting this browser story that I wrote this week was people who make other browsers think it's very funny that people love Safari, because Safari is like a deliberately neutered web browser because Apple wants you to use native apps. Like, if Apple had made Safari as good as it could, and you have to believe that there is enough engineering and design talent at Apple to make it an honest-to-God Chrome competitor, and it was a powerful, like, WebKit being another browser engine that is on par with Chromium would be a big deal. Like, they just haven't kept up, and the only reason they haven't kept up is because they have no incentive whatsoever to keep up.
I saw a fancy executive who used to work on Chrome a few weeks ago, and his read of it was Apple has actually been pulling resources away from the Safari team over time.
Yeah.
Right?
Not at all surprising. Of course that's what you would do.
It's the threat.
Apple.
It is the threat to their entire thing, and like, an agentic Siri that can use the apps on your phone is a different kind of threat, but they're way more willing to do that than to do an agentic Safari that uses the web because that breaks their model.
Yeah, you don't get in-app purchases from that. It's that simple. But so like the other thing for me is like, and this is just purely a matter of personal preference. I would rather have a thing in the shape of a MacBook with a touchscreen than a thing in the shape of an iPad that runs Mac OS. Like if you just made me pick the shell of the thing, I like the MacBook better. And so that's the reason for me that it is like this idea is very powerful for me because I want all of the stuff that like the 13-inch iPad Pro can do with connectivity everywhere and super long battery life. And the touchscreen is great, but I want it to look like a MacBook. Like, I just do. And I think most people do. I think there is a real, like we got laptops right a really long time ago. And they continue to be the right thing for a huge number of purposes.
Actually, I think laptops got right with the first iBook.
Okay, so you know more about this. I have no iBook experience. So
well, it's just interesting to think about like we got laptops right. Like it's actually Apple that like really pushed laptops in the correct direction when they started doing consumer laptops. So that 2x2 grid was really important, right? We're going to have professional class machines and those first PowerBooks, like I'm just dating myself. Like those first PowerBooks made a lot of design decisions that we still live with today. Like they pushed the keyboards back towards the display and did a palm rest. That was Apple design in the 90s. Like that is a decision Apple made and everyone just followed them. And there's a bunch of other stuff along the way. And yes, there's competition. And yes, Windows laptops innovated on the idea of having functional keyboards, for example, which Apple took 5 years to fix.
Do you remember when I think it was Acer? It was either Acer or Asus decided, what if we tried to flip the keyboard and the trackpad?
So yeah, Paul Miller on the show did keyboard in the front club for like 3 years. It's fine. Like people tried things, but like Apple made a bunch of decisions about the design of a laptop 30 years ago that were correct. And then when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, he made the grid, right? We're going to have consumer and professional products. And he filled in the consumer product with the iMac, basically rescued Apple with the iMac. And he said, we're going to fill in consumer notebook. We're going to get there. And that square on the grid at like launch events, he would just leave it open. He would show the grid and be like, we updated the PowerBook, we updated the Power Mac, here's the iMac, just wait for it.
Oh, interesting.
And then eventually he's like, we're going to do it. Where the iBook is coming out. And this is what I mean about having too many products and not enough products. You go back and you watch Steve Jobs introduce a product. He's like, this is the product. Here's who it's for. Here's why the other ones suck. And then here's the thing that's going to make everyone like sit up and say, oh, Apple innovated. And hilariously, at the time of the first iBook, the ones that came in blue and orange and kind of look like toilet bowl lids because Johnny Ive's previous job was designing toilets. This is a true story.
The colors are sick. The toilet bowl lid thing is real.
The colors are sick. The design didn't hold up. But like everything about that machine is now reflected in modern machines. The thing that iBook had that no other computer really had yet, like the thing Apple introduced with the first iBook was Wi-Fi, which is crazy to think about. Like Wi-Fi did not exist. And Apple made a big bet on a standard that like AT&T Bell Labs, which had been spun out in another company called Lucent, they made a bet on 802.11b. This is like Vergecast standards lore, right? Yeah. And they said, we're going to do Wi-Fi. We've partnered with Lucent. Here's the first airport base station. It was like a silver spaceship. And then to bring it home, Steve Jobs forced Phil Schiller to stand on a raised platform above the stage, start downloading a file, and then jump off the platform onto a mattress while continuing to download the file to prove there were no wires.
So I went and found this because I had never seen this video, and I think there is a case to be made that this, not the like, it's not 3 devices, it's 1 device, or not the pulling the MacBook Air out of the $1 million envelope. I think this should be the true legacy of bonkers Steve Jobs intros. Let me just play this one clip of Phil Schiller jumping onto a mattress.
Definitely one small step for a man and one giant leap for wireless networking.
Okay, so let's count go down. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, jump. Ready? 3, 2, 1, jump.
He actually jumps from like 15 feet.
It's a pretty high jump. We high five. I mean, he lands on his back. Like that, it was not graceful.
No. And
I
it's
love
just like,
Phil. I mean, he's sold out for it
He
in a
did.
way that only Phil can sell out for it.
and there's another moment in that same intro where he, Steve Jobs, like he has the laptop on a table, like like you always do. He's showing off the thing. And then at one point he just sort of casually picks it up and starts to walk away with it. And you can hear the audience start to go, oh, like realize what's going on. And the cheering goes nuts. And then Steve Jobs takes a hula hoop and just passes it over.
Yeah, because we had to prove that there was wireless networking.
Right. Like the idea that this has no wires into it and is still working was like unfathomable. And I think in terms of like, how do we describe what is cool about this thing? 10 out of 10 on the iBook launch. Truly.
But that is the moment, right? I remember when that came out, like all of my friends who were off to college the next year bought iBooks. Right. And there was a lot of Nilay is going to fix your broken airport base station on your campus network that was not designed for 500 new wireless access points, because wireless access points did not exist before this day. And the idea that college students would deploy them on the Ethernet network at DePaul University was like not contemplated. It was weird. There's a lot going on there. But like everyone bought that computer for that reason. Right? I can just have this anywhere in my dorm or my apartment or whatever. Yep. And then that became, obviously, Wi-Fi is just a thing now. The next version of the iBook, the white iBook, for years was like the default laptop.
Yes.
It was just the one you got. It set the standard. It set the tone. They refined that design forever until they moved on to the more aluminum design of the MacBook Air. But Apple sells that wedge-shaped MacBook Air sort of like despite itself. It doesn't want to. It tried to kill that product a lot.
Yep.
Right? It tried
including
to kill it
with the 12-inch MacBook.
Including with the 12-inch MacBook, with the cheaper 13-inch MacBook Pro. And consumers are like, no, we want this one. And they have been made to sell that product, even to this day, right? The M1 MacBook Air is the wedge-shaped MacBook Air, because it scratches some itch that is what a laptop is with a lot of people. And I think their opportunity with this machine is to get back to like just defining the product more coherently as opposed to a series of price points. That's my hope. I suspect what it will actually be is just a replacement for the, $600 M1 MacBook at Walmart. But my hope is they get back to that moment where they're like, oh, we're making a consumer product for consumers and we can actually announce it with some theatricality because we're proud of it.
So that means colors for sure. You have to go back to doing colors, which I think Apple is doing anyway. So I wouldn't see it as like outlandish. The idea that it would have like that sort of iMac range of colors, the purple and the orange and whatever. What else goes into that for you? Like, what does this device have to be that thing for you? You probably go back to the wedge.
Maybe. I mean, you could, right? If you have a smaller chip and you have the cooling needs. I think you have a big question about performance. Mm-hmm. Like how much performance you really need. If you're still selling the M1, you have a pretty good sense of how much performance you actually need.
True.
And you can probably outdo it. But the wedge shape has always had cooling problems, which is why they've always wanted to get away from it. I think you basically have to say, like, there's a set of things you can do on a Mac now with this computer that it's better than doing on your phone. And I don't know that Apple has made that case in a long time. But to me, this device almost feels like you have an iPhone and this laptop is like the accessory.
Oh, interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in my mind, there are still things that I would just never do on a phone that I see other people just do on a phone, like happily. Like I have to buy plane tickets on a web browser on a laptop. Like, I don't know. I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it. I don't know why.
I'm with you.
I think there's like a class of people now that's phone first.
Yep.
And I think you have to sell them a laptop to do a bunch of other stuff. And Apple hasn't made that case affirmatively for its Macs in a long time. I know they sell a lot of Macs. I'm not right. They're doing a good job there. But they haven't made the case for like why stuff is better on a Mac than a phone in forever. And this, to me, like if it's cheap, it feels like, oh, you can make the connection much more tightly. And that should be the opportunity here. Not, it's a MacBook Pro and now you're a pro. You know, like this is much more, hey, you want to get off your phone, right? Get off your phone is a big pull. Use a Mac. Like here's a $700 Mac that kicks ass to do a bunch of stuff better with the web and other tools. That feels correct.
There's an end to this meeting that leads to deciding to run iPad OS on this thing.
It would be a heartbreaker.
And for anyone at Apple who is listening, I want to urge you not to make that decision.
If it's more like what you're saying, which is they're getting their asses kicked in education because Chromebooks are cheap. Like, every teacher I know is like, they get destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to give a bunch of, fancy iPads to kids because they're going to just ruin them. We're going to give them $150 Acer Chromebooks.
Right.
Because they're going to get lit on fire and peed on. So their goal is to get back in education. You have to be cheap. But not having Chrome will actually lock them out of a big ecosystem, or not having a browser, because not everyone's shipping native apps for these devices.
Right. Well, and I think you're right that the converse of the Apple is losing an education case would be that a vast number of kids, particularly in the United States, are getting iPhones or Apple Watches or both as their first devices.
Mm-hmm.
That is the entry point in a way that like the home computer used to be one. And I think you're right that if it's like, okay, how do we teach you what you can do better on a device like this in a way that like properly manages the handoff between devices and lets you mirror your phone and like does some of the things that you can do, but in a sort of phone first way, that could be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Or they're just going to replace the $500 M1, right? Like, or they just have to stop making that. So they're going to make this instead. Like, but the opportunity, the reason I brought up the first iBook launch, the opportunity is to reset and say there's a reason for this to exist. And we're like happy. We spent all this time pointing at that box, consumer notebook, and then we filled it with a product that makes sense there, not a cheaper version of the old product.
Right.
I mean, that was like the Apple magic back in the day. I'm not saying the products aren't good now. I'm just saying it's a lot of price points and not a lot of too many products and not enough products.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's Apple will sell you high-end laptops and higher-end laptops, and there is something else to do there.
God, this thing was so pretty.
It really was. The green. Is that the...
No, it was blue. It was blue.
Was that the blueberry color? Was that what Apple called it?
I think so. It's blueberry and tangerine.
First of all, it's green, Apple, just to be super clear about that. But also bring back that color and I will buy any laptop you make. I'm telling you, 12-inch MacBook, cool colors, cellular modem, put it in my house right now. Let's go. All right. We should take one more break and then we're going to come back. We got a bunch of lightning round stuff to do, including a game that I'm going to make Nilay play that he knows nothing about. It's going to be great. We'll be right back.
Support for this show comes from Darktrace. Defenders in cybersecurity are always there when we need them, keeping the systems that run our daily lives safe from bad actors. At Darktrace, they think defenders everywhere deserve a bigger spotlight for keeping the lights on. They deserve blockbuster movies about breaches that never happened, and they should get a parade every time they block a novel threat. But most of all, they deserve AI cybersecurity that can stop novel threats before they become breaches, across email, clouds, networks, and more. That's why Darktrace is going beyond for cyber defenders, such as IT decision makers, CISOs, and cybersecurity professionals, to give them the power to see across their entire attack surface and stop the threats other platforms miss. Darktrace is the cybersecurity defenders deserve and the one they need to defend beyond. The world needs defenders. Defenders need Darktrace. Visit darktrace.com/defenders for more information. Support for this show comes from Shopify. One of the most exciting parts of starting a business is when the sales start coming in. If your business is looking to start selling online, Shopify has everything you need to create your online store. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. And Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing, returns, and beyond. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Vergecast. Go to shopify.com/Vergecast. Shopify.com/Vergecast.
All right, we're back. Let's get into the lightning round. There's a lot of news this week, so we're just going to blast through as much of it as quickly as we can. Nilay, you get to go first. And is it time?
It's time. It's absolutely time.
I hate when it's time.
It's always time.
It is time once again for America's favorite podcast within a podcast. Brendan Carr's a dummy.
He's such a dummy. Like,
that's the subtitle of America's favorite podcast within a podcast. Is he's such a dummy.
I wish I could read you the headline, and you'd be like, "That sounds dumb."
Hit me.
Brendan Carr is going to have the FCC vote to scrap the requirements that telecommunications firms do good cybersecurity.
That's dumb.
It's just dumb.
and lest anyone who didn't listen to the show last week forget, Brendan Carr's a dummy last week was about Brendan Carr saying that all of these broadband companies don't have to tell you what their things cost because it's too much work for them to do so.
Yes, but not too much work when they actually bill you, of course.
Right.
But telling you up front, onerous requirements.
Yeah.
I'm
assuming it just really sounds like we're about to hear a very similar argument about doing good cybersecurity.
Absolutely similar argument.
No.
He put out a blog post. It's called Halloween Treats. He's very cute, much like his predecessor, Ajit Pai. He thinks he's a lot cuter than he is. And he says, here's what we're going to vote on our next meeting. And he says, finally, we're going to vote on an order that puts us on a stronger cybersecurity footing. Following extensive engagement with the carriers, this item announces the steps they've already taken to strengthen their cybersecurity defenses. So we're going to reverse ruling reached by the Biden administration that exceeded our authority and required them to do cybersecurity. So the previous order required them to do cybersecurity. They did it, and now we're going to say they don't have to anymore because we trust them. Because why wouldn't you trust our nation's telecommunications providers? When I think of trustworthiness, I think of wireless carriers in America.
The theory is cybersecurity is finished. We've accomplished cybersecurity. We did it. It's over. Why keep trying?
By the way, the previous order, just to like say it clearly, went into place because there was a huge wave of attacks on our nation's infrastructure, and the Biden administration was like, "Do better cybersecurity," and so they did. I don't know, man.
It was like 15 minutes ago that was where everybody was worried about China. Was like that's how China is going to get into our infrastructure. This was like the grand impassioned case that the government was making, that we had to do good cybersecurity because the infrastructure was where it was all going. And now Brendan Carr's like, whatever, we did it. Yeah, it's fine.
By the declaration from the Biden administration, if you want to get into the weeds of how dumb he is, right? Like, Brendan exists in a state of existential legal crisis at all times because he wants to be a MAGA Republican, but he is instead, just an old school conservative Republican who's cosplaying as someone the president likes. This is true. His argument is that the Biden administration used a 1994 law to say this law requires telecommunications carriers to secure their networks from unlawful access or interception of communications. And he says this is an overreading of the statute, right? You've taken too much authority. This is at the same time that the Trump administration is at the Supreme Court being like, everything is emergency and we have the power to tear up anything we want because the world isn't a permanent emergency. And the Supreme Court itself is like, that's not what that says at all. So you just have this fight in the Trump administration, embodied in the person, Brendan Carr, who wants power but is still like a Project 2025, like tear the government down guy, where they're in court saying, we read some magic words into a statute. We have all the power in the world. And then Brendan Carr is saying, well, if the Biden administration did that, then we have no power at all. And there's just you cannot actually reconcile these arguments unless you're Brendan and all you're trying to do is give things away to telecom companies, which has always been the point of his existence.
I do appreciate that it feels like once a week, some like SVP at a company has breakfast with Brendan Carr and is like, God, I'm so busy today. I got this meeting, and Brendan just takes notes and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take away all of your job responsibilities. Yeah, you're just gonna get to hang out.
If you want to come all the way back around to, you have to tell them the prices. Brendan's declaration says the inflexible across the board cybersecurity requirements leaves carriers with a burdensome and inchoate compliance standard that does little to secure our networks. Making them secure our networks does little to secure. It's very good. It's very good.
The carriers into the like put upon victims of this is a bold strategy. Like I admire Brendan for constantly being like, these poor broadband companies have
it's so hard to run a company that has a natural monopoly all over the place. The worst. Anyhow, there's no federal cybersecurity rule in Congress. There's no law that says it. There was just this rulemaking by the Biden administration. And maybe you think that's inappropriate. You can say the FCC should not have to do this stuff the way it does, but we have a dysfunctional Congress, so that's why agencies do stuff all the time. And Brendan, he can't decide whether the FCC has so much power that it can force individual comedians off of broadcast television, or so little power that it can't make Verizon do cybersecurity. He's a dummy. That's our guy. Brendan, as always, you're welcome to show up on this show or Decoder or anywhere you want and fight me, but like verbally.
Or physically. I mean, honestly, I'm not picky at this point.
The doors are open. You pick.
You want to get in Mark Zuckerberg's octagon and fight Eli?
I'm more than willing to engage you, Brendan. I know your Google results are trash. They have been for years because of me. It's fine. Let's just do it. Come on the show.
Listen, I was reading the news this week about how they're going to do a UFC fight on the White House lawn. I propose one of the openers, Patel versus Carr.
But it's just us brandishing FCC regulations at each other. That's fine.
Yeah, I'd be there. I love it. All right. Actually, your point about individual comedians is a good segue to my first one, which is there was this big, interesting deadline piece this week about how YouTube is making a concerted effort to make its talk shows into more of a thing on YouTube. Like, as we talked about last week, YouTube is really sort of stratifying in two directions. Like, one is shorts, fast, AI generated. Everything is like as easy and low rent as possible. And then on the upside, it's like it wants to be a fancy TV service, right? Like YouTube TV exists, but also the YouTube main app on television is changing so that it looks more like there's, shows with seasons and episodes, and it is trying to appear higher end. And they're taking things like Hot Ones and Good Mythical Morning, which is like a long-standing, super successful YouTube talk show, and trying to like make these feel more sort of like mainstream talk shows in the way that like Jimmy Kimmel is a mainstream talk show and Stephen Colbert. Like, everybody's been assuming Stephen Colbert, after he leaves CBS because his show got canceled, is going to go like do a Conan O'Brien and make a really successful podcast. Yeah. I've got to assume somebody at YouTube is like, buddy, come do your show on YouTube. And I think if and when that happens, it'll be fascinating. But like, it's another piece of this puzzle to me that just all of these services are just running at each other as fast as they possibly can. You have Netflix making a big bet on video podcasts and starting to like, they did like the John Mulaney live show. They're doing Star Search. Like, Netflix is just sort of rerunning parts of the cable TV playbook, while YouTube TV and YouTube are also running parts of the cable playbook. And we're just going to end up with TV again. Like, it's going to be the 90s again.
I think it's crazy that as we're talking about this, YouTube and ABC are still in a fight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just couldn't get Monday Night Football on YouTube TV this week.
Yeah.
And they were fine with it. Like, they're just like, fine. We don't need that. Like, we spend a lot of money on sports rights, but fine. Like, you'll cave. Like, that was basically the message they sent to ABC and Disney this week. And I see what you're saying with the rest of it, right? Like, they're gonna professionalize YouTube.
Yeah.
And like, that's weird for YouTube, right? They depend on this army of independent content creators. We've talked a lot about rates being squeezed. If Colbert starts a YouTube show, I think a good question is whether YouTube pays him for it.
Right.
In a way that they don't pay any other creators to be there. But I don't think he wants to do the YouTube brand deals that everyone else is doing to pay the bills. Like, there's some weirdness there with the way that YouTube pays for YouTube TV and is in disputes with the big broadcasters about YouTube TV and how they want YouTube proper to be monetized, that doesn't support some of these ideas, right? If you can't make the revenue to support Stephen Colbert doing a late night show the way that the broadcast networks could make the revenue to support his show, then you simply won't have late night shows of that caliber. You might have a lot of YouTube shows that look like it, but you won't have that thing, right?
Right.
And that to me is like just the question is when does this all crash together and someone figures out like there's a way to pay for this stuff because people want it and it's good and it's not all just garbage, or there's not going to be a way to pay for this stuff. And I think that's kind of what like Netflix is chasing after. Like, should we just do video podcasts? Like, we don't have to pay for those. Like, they're just getting made anyway. We'll just run them over here and they're pretty cheap to produce. Or do we need to do a full-on John Mulaney stage set? Like, which one is it? And I don't think anybody actually knows yet.
I don't think so either, but I do think, I mean, you also put all of this next to this big new push from both streaming services and YouTube towards like live appointment programming, because I think that's the only way you solve the ad problem you're describing. Like all of the money from television increasingly has just pointed at sports, because it's the only thing people will like reliably tune into at a particular time. And so if you're Netflix, you're like, okay, well, we're going to do the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. And that worked gangbusters, right? Because people will show up for that at a time and in a place. And if you can do the same with Star Search or WWE or whatever, like there are not an infinite number of appointment viewing things you can create, but if you can create a few of them, you can start to like, you just get to charge like an order of magnitude different prices for the thing. And I think if I'm YouTube, it's like, there's not that much more scale for YouTube to go get. And the platform is more and more competitive all the time. So like this idea that the pie is going to get big enough to fund everybody over time, I think is just not true. So now it's like, okay, we have to go add zeros to some of these deals that we're signing with people, or else we're not going to be able to pay Stephen Colbert what he needs to come do this. And like in a weird way, Sirius is still happy to like write a check for $100 million in a way that like YouTube just isn't.
They're getting less and less happy with that. That business is in trouble.
I mean, true, but the deals are still out there, right? Like Alex Cooper got this huge deal, and like you can still make a lot of money all at once doing a podcast in a way that like doing a YouTube doesn't support. And YouTube is going to have to change that.
Yeah, but seriously, a really interesting example. I probably pay more attention to Sirius's business because it is the last example of controlling a distribution network that isn't the internet that really exists.
Do you have Sirius?
I have Sirius in our car.
You've aged yourself so many times in this show. I'm really enjoying this. Neeli outing himself as like a 56-year-old man.
Well, it's not. I mean, we bought a new car, and it just comes with it, right? And then Becky just like loves comedians, and a bunch of them have Sirius shows, so now we have Sirius. But like they own a satellite distribution network that is bundled with every new and used car sale in America.
Yeah.
And the car makers get a cut of that revenue when you sign up for Sirius. Like this is the money.
Right.
Like you pay for Sirius in your car, the car maker gets a little piece, Sirius gets a lot of it. The car makers have every incentive to put that radio in that car and upsell you in it. The dealers get a piece of like everyone is just making money on satellite radio distribution that has nothing to do with the internet. But like that's useless on your phone. So then Sirius had to make an app that runs on the internet, and now they're like devaluing their thing that makes them all the money. So they're trying to sign exclusive, and it's like you can just see it's the last one. It's the last non-internet distribution that is that valuable, and like it's under all this pressure, and they're trying to solve it with exclusives, obviously. But it's just like a weird thing where like broadcast television isn't even that valuable. Like it's getting squeezed to the point where YouTube TV is like, we're just not going to have Monday Night Football. We'll be fine. We'll just be fine. That's crazy. That is crazy to me.
Well, and I think it's A, true, and B, only true of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like a true sign of YouTube's power is that it can play that card and get away with it. And I think it did.
It can.
It looked worse for Disney than it did for YouTube in that dispute, I think.
Our friend Julie Alexander, now at Puck, used to work for us. She's one of the smartest media analysts around. She's like, the future of this is just carriage disputes. There just will be a permanent ongoing carriage dispute forever because the market doesn't know what these rates are. And so pointing at the last deal does nothing for anyone. Every time there's a new one, it's like we're starting from zero because no one knows how much anyone should pay. So my big question, again, is does variable rates come to YouTube? Do some creators get more per view from YouTube than other creators? Because if you don't get there, you won't get all the creators you want. And like, I think, Jimmy Kimmel is one of those creators. Stephen Colbert is one of those, like if you put them in the creator bucket, they should have the ability to negotiate for higher rates from YouTube itself. And I don't think YouTube wants to cross that bridge, but it's the thing they do on YouTube TV, right? With all these carriage disputes, they're negotiating rates. At some point that comes to YouTube proper.
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, YouTube has been saying both to me and to others pretty loudly that like the next big step for YouTube is for a YouTuber to win an Emmy. And I think that is sort of a fascinating next turn that like there's a perception change that comes with that in the same way that like within YouTube, it was a really big deal when they got on the Nielsen chart because A, it showed how big YouTube was, and B, it just puts their name next to a different set of things. Mm-hmm. It's not YouTube next to Twitter. It's YouTube next to Netflix. And that is like, that changes the way that YouTube goes into advertising negotiation. But you're right that the flip side also happens, is that people come in and they're like, oh, well, I just left a meeting with Netflix. What's your deal? What are you going to give me?
And thus far, YouTube has been like, you can go.
Yeah, exactly.
There's infinite more YouTube. But as you start to professionalize, right? And it's not just a bunch of amateur YouTubers or My Day at the Zoo videos. You start to professionalize. Like, oh, this actually becomes risky.
Right. Especially as now Netflix is writing big checks for video podcasts. Like it's all, everybody's running at each other and no one knows where it's going to end up. Like where is anyone watching this podcast?
YouTube paying variable rates. I mean, again, I keep saying the creator economy is going to implode. Like these pressures are coming very hard for individual creators whom, again, I have nothing but sympathy for.
Yeah.
Like this is elephants dancing and your business is just getting crushed from all sides. Literally nothing but sympathy. But the point I keep making is YouTube forever has basically had the position you can go try.
Yeah.
Ninja, you want to leave Twitch to go start Mixer with Mike? Have fun. You're coming right back. You know, like that's been their attitude. It's been Twitch's attitude. It's been everyone's attitude. This thing where we're going to professionalize, that it will change the dynamics. And the first time YouTube pays a variable rate to some creator over another, A, it will change the nature of the platform forever, and B, the upending of the culture of what it means to be a YouTuber will just begin.
Yeah.
And I will just keep saying this. Go talk to YouTubers. That we talk to them all the time. YouTube itself does not pay enough money to be a successful YouTuber.
Right.
That to me is as like indefensible as it gets. Like they are making billions upon billions of dollars, but the YouTubers themselves have to go make other business arrangements to survive. And some turn has to happen there where being a YouTuber is successful just because YouTube is sharing enough revenue with you. I don't know where that pressure comes from, but if that turn doesn't happen, then YouTube is kind of stuck at the plateau.
Yep. All right. What's your next one?
My next one's quick because the settlement is not approved, and we'll dive into it deeply when the settlement is approved. But it feels like Android is going to change forever in a meaningful way because Epic and Google have agreed to settle their antitrust case, and Google will open Android up like formally and officially to third-party app stores and even distribute those app stores inside the Play Store. So Epic had won its lawsuit against Google, claiming that it was doing antitrust violations with Android and not allowing certain kinds of in-app payments, not allowing people to go around the Play Store, all this stuff. That was, and it was the same argument against Apple, but because Google has to deal with third parties, there was like oceans of evidence of contracts and dealings and negotiations.
Importantly, this one was also a jury trial, which I continue to think like it just, there was a smell test in this case that didn't exist in the Apple case. And I think it's fascinating.
So Epic basically won, and they won a pretty narrow ruling that applied to like the United States. I don't know exactly the machinations that led Google to want to settle, but they've settled, and they're not going to take the basics of that ruling and apply it worldwide. And so there will be, according to what the settlement they've announced, it needs to be approved. They were going to take way less. They're going to take 9% instead of the rates they were taking, and they will allow third-party app stores to be distributed inside the Play Store itself. This is a huge, like this.
That is
everything we've been talking about on the show so far changes when Google changes the Play Store in this way. The business models we've talked about that don't exist, they might begin to exist. I suspect some of this is because doing it in one market and not the other markets is like complicated and weird and causes all kinds of problems. I suspect there are security concerns about other app stores that Google would like to be in control of instead of losing control of. Like there's a lot of reasons you would say, screw it, we've lost in one market. We're going to settle in all the markets. The judge has to approve the settlement. We're going to try to report some of this stuff out. But it's like secretly the biggest news of the week, I think.
Yeah, I think this is like so many of these things. This is one where like the devil will truly be in the details. And if Apple's own malicious compliance is any evidence, there will be a bunch of shenanigans on the other side of this. But like Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, who is not known for sugarcoating his opinion about how things are going in this case, seems thrilled about what's happening here. And so it sort of makes you wonder if Google just decided to lose. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was just the worst possible case scenario, which the judge in this case has basically at every available opportunity pointed at Google and been like, I am going to tear your company to shreds. And so like maybe they looked at this and they were like, okay, maybe the D- bad is a better sort of devil than the possible F like outcome here. And Google, like the App Store revenue doesn't matter to Google in the way that it matters to Apple. Like it just doesn't. And so maybe Google also sees a way here to change some of the norms. Like I can galaxy brain my way through all of this, but it is certainly true that what it means to be an app developer to most of the phones in the world is going to change in some really interesting ways.
Yeah. And I think if you're Google and you're like, well, we have Gemini on our phone.
Right.
And now Gemini will have access to more apps and more business models. And that's how, like, you can see why they're like, screw it. We came in second this last time in terms of App Store revenue. Mm-hmm. We're not going to come in second the next time. Whereas Apple cannot make this deal.
Right. And if you see gaming as the reason for every bit of App Store policy, which is like not a perfect but not a wrong way to look at app stores, Google might have a pretty, like, wanting to win at games is a pretty good move for Google here. Like getting Epic to play nice, you start to open the door to a lot of interesting reasons for people to use Android devices that stand to benefit Google in a much bigger way.
Right, because Gemini is using all of your other apps for you.
Right.
So then you're only opening your phone to play games.
Google needs you to use Android way more than it needs you to use the Play Store. And it has, I think maybe it is willing to divorce those two things in order to keep people using Android.
Yeah. We'll see. Like I said, the settlement has to be approved. So that's why we didn't spend a lot of time on it today.
Yeah.
It's going to get approved. I think we should do some reporting to figure out the contours of this deal, how it will work. I'm confident Tim Sweeney will want to take yet one more victory lap. But when it happens, we're going to rest assured there'll be a full episode of Vergecast on it because it is as like earthquake in the mobile space as it gets.
For sure. All right. My next one is very short, which is that I have huge news for you about the Trump phone, which is that it doesn't exist. But the thing that has changed in the last 7 days is that there has been a slew of new ideas about why the Trump phone doesn't exist. Like there was definitely a thing in September where we just kind of all let the date come and go. And then at the end of October, like October 31st, last Friday, there was an awful lot of, well, the Trump phone was a lie, wasn't it? Kind of coverage. And the heat on, well, this was just a bunch of bullshit vaporware has really increased. And I'm not saying we get credit for that, but I will take credit for that because we did it on Thursday of last week.
We are, and particularly in the show, very good at counting days that things don't happen.
Yeah, we are. And we are now a month and a week overdue on the Trump phone. Not only does it not exist, there's not one bit of information about it. I have not seen anyone who has used Trump Mobile. I have not seen anyone who claims to have used one of these phones. I've not seen anyone who claims to know that they exist in the world. Like the proof of life on something like this is so easy that it's like it clearly there's nothing here.
It's funny because it's just an MVNO.
Right.
Like, Ryan Reynolds found it easier to start a mobile network than the Trump boys.
Should we start
Verge
like, Mobile and see if we can get it off the ground faster than Trump Mobile?
That's actually a great idea. I'm just saying, like the Smartless podcast started an MVNO faster and easier.
You can just do it.
And the Trump family. And if you will remember, no one remembers this, at the launch of Trump Mobile, they paraded out a bunch of sort of like anonymous looking guys. And they're like, these are our mobile executives. They have long histories in the space. And like, they couldn't just white label T-Mobile, which everyone else is able to do with like the drop of a hat. Like literally Smartless launched an MVNO in this time. You can use the Smartless wireless network. I don't know why, but you can.
Yes. It's just Jason Bateman calls you once a day. He's like, "How you doing?"
Well, that would actually be pretty good. I would accept that. I'd be like, "Do you remember your little known movie, The Switch? I love that movie. Tell me everything about what it's like working with Goldblum." It's a great movie. It's horrifying plot wise, excellent in line delivery terms. Can't recommend it enough. Do you remember when they did the Dish Network thing, right? And T-Mobile sold Dish Network a bunch of spectrum so they could buy Sprint. Nobody remembers this except for us. We counted the days that this wasn't real forever, and now it's definitely not real because Brandon Carr's a dummy. The point I'm making is the first version of that network launched with like a cockamamie idea about crypto points for using your wireless network. And that launched, and we spent when we sent Mitchell Clark to go use it in Las Vegas, and we could do it. And there was like a subreddit about Project Gen 5 Sys and its weird crypto. Like they did all of that. They layered on a crypto scam on top of a wireless network and launched that, and we were able to go use it. And we still can't use Trump Mobile, which is just an MVNO, I believe, of AT&T and T-Mobile.
It's insane. And if there is somewhere a Trump phone like tethered to a desk, I will fly to that desk just to look at it and use it. It doesn't exist. This phone is fake. The renders have not gotten better on the website. Like I am increasingly of the belief that this is never, ever, ever going to launch, and nobody will ever say anything about it. Not only is it going to be like massively late, I don't think it's ever going to be anything ever.
Oh yeah, no chance. And we're going to keep counting the days.
Yeah.
If there's one thing this show can do, it's count.
That's what we're here for.
Incrementally count the days that nothing happened.
Poor Tom Preston on our team has signed up to send PR emails into the void once a week asking where Trump Mobile is.
And I'm going to get Allison Johnson to try to actually sign up for Trump Mobile, which I think you can do, and review the service. We'll see how that goes.
It's going to be fun.
If you know anything, let us know.
Yeah, indeed. If you have a T1 phone, I will buy it from you for literally any price.
Again, not even a subreddit. Like, you know it's bad when there's not even a subreddit. Like, one person didn't start the Trump
This
Mobile
is what I'm saying. The
subreddit.
proof of life is so simple. Take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth, like, take a selfie with a Trump phone. Problem solved.
He will definitely not be wearing a shirt in that selfie.
No, God, no.
I was going to say my last one is a party speaker update. Now I just want to talk about the movie The Switch, which features the most unhinged Jeff Goldblum performance, like, of all time.
You understand how high a bar that is, right?
It is so out of control. Like, he shows up and steals that movie at least 6 times. And at one point he says, that is ill-advised. And my friends and I have been saying that is ill-advised for like 10 years. It's very good.
Oh, this is the like weird, it's a Jason Bateman,
you
Jennifer
don't even
Aniston.
want to say the plot out loud, man.
It's a rom-com, supposedly.
It's sort of it's horrifying. Like, the plot of this movie is horrifying. The Goldblum is choice. That's all I'm saying. Go watch that movie. That's my
The Wikipedia page is amazing.
There's a lot going on with this movie. Anyway, if you're a Goldblum fan, you got it's on your list tonight. That's all I'm saying. My last one is actually a party speaker update.
Good. It's been a minute.
As by request from the YouTube comments, which were oddly aggressive about demanding a party speaker update.
It has been too long. I agree.
We've had a couple sent in. So on Blue Sky, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Kennard Malad sent in a party speaker that I believe he found in a Costco in Canada. This is right. We're coming full circle on the maturity of these devices.
Seriously.
This is a party speaker that looks like an old school boombox, but importantly, around the speakers are the party lights.
Oh,
critically important. It's called the Retro Glow Boombox. It's just a weird ion thing. This is how we know that we're at full maturity, right? We're now doing retro party speakers. It's very, very good.
Wait, this is great though, because if I have one note on the party speaker world, it's that we're giving too much of the design work to the party lights. It's just a lot of like black blobs with party lights.
Yep.
And I would like to see us try a little harder with our party speaker design.
Well,
so
no,
I think,
let me give you the next
well.
one. Fragile Practice on Blue Sky sent me one. It is just a black blob with party lights, but here's where we are in the maturity of the market.
Okay.
This is at Home Depot. It didn't even have a brand. The brand is TZUMI. That's not a word. Or is that an N? It doesn't even know. That's whatever that brand is. It's just drop shipping letters. That's what that brand is.
Yeah.
Alphabet soup. It's called the Super Bass Job Site Speaker. It's at Home Depot for $29.97.
What?
We've hit the singularity, man. We're through the looking glass. So you can get a party speaker for $30. Everyone should have like 10 of these.
The Super Bass Job Site?
Job site. Yep.
Super Bass Job
I love
Site.
the idea that your
My favorite
construction
Nirvana
site
album.
needs just a straight RGB light situation. But yeah, it's a 10-hour battery. It's got there's just a logo on here that just says LED. No reason why. It's great. I'm telling you, this is the most mature consumer electronics market that we've seen come from nothing to like the most something, totally uncovered. Like,
yes.
It's happening right in front of your eyes.
Yeah,
all
even
this AI
like,
stuff, right? Sam Altman's on CNBC talking nonsense, and you're like, no, this whole thing happened just like quietly under the radar. There were not party speakers, And now there are party speakers from every company at every price point in every store in America, on every street corner, at every No Kings protest, at every subway stop. They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They just arrived. And like no one talks about them except the Vergecast.
There's your AGI right there.
But once you see them, you're like, oh, this thing just like under the radar became a part of America's cultural fabric. Nay, the world's cultural fabric. That's
You're saying we've reached general party speaker.
I'm saying that there are children being born today who will never know a world without party speakers. And it would just be like a default assumption that if they need to broadcast both sound and multicolored light to a large audience, that is a capability they have. That was not true when I was a child.
The one that got me recently was our 2.5-year-old plays like little toddler soccer on Saturday mornings. And they have one there that they didn't even use. She literally like just put the speaker down to balance her bag of soccer balls against. And I was like, we've gone so far into party speakers that you just like instinctively took it out of your car.
And we didn't, I'm just saying, we didn't run out of demand.
No.
Right? Like GoPro reached a problem where there were just not enough X Games people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah.
Like I would say 16, 18, somewhere in there, where they were just like, we've run out of people to sell GoPros to. We didn't run out of people to sell party speakers to. There's yet more to come.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you think AGI is the thing. You think, the Pope has to declare that Sam Altman found Jesus right under your nose. The greatest cultural revolution of our time.
What if everybody has spent the last decade looking for the successor to the smartphone and it's just party speakers?
You see what I'm saying? It's
Put
right. It's
the
right
AGI
there.
in the party speakers and maybe we're on to something.
Next Alexa, Panos is like, all right, it's 8 feet tall, 5 million colors. Let's do it.
Yeah. What if Alexa Plus was much louder? Would you like it better? Is that something?
All right. What's your last one?
Okay. I have a game we're going to play. So
Okay.
we made a lot of fun of Apple TV on this show for just being horrible at naming things. And to be clear, there's now the Apple TV box, there's the Apple TV app, and there's the Apple TV service. And by the what I would call AI property of growth, this means that in 5 years, every single product Apple makes will be called Apple TV.
Yes.
This just if we're doing the linear thing, that's where we're headed. This week, the news was that the new name came with some new branding. There's a new look, and most importantly, there's a new sound that plays when you first start a thing. All of these services they're called like sonic logos, and it's like that few seconds that plays right at the beginning with the logo to tell you what service you're watching.
And all of them are too loud.
I mean, agreed. My immediate reaction to this story was like, who cares? I don't even know what any of them are. Turns out I know what all of them are.
Oh boy.
And I have pulled a large number of them for you. And I'm going to play them for you, and you are going to have to guess which one is which.
Okay.
Are you ready for this game?
Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them for you.
We're going to do 10?
We're going to do 10 because
Okay.
you should be able to get all of them in 1 second each. The longest one of these is 6
You watch
seconds
so much more
long.
TV than me. Okay, let's go.
Okay. We'll start easy. Just to, I just want to ease you in. I want to make you feel good. Let's just do this.
That's HBO. Classic HBO.
Next.
Oh, and it's like a spinny color thing. I know what it looks like. What is it?
That's HBO Max.
That's HBO Max.
And if you're
Okay.
saying, David, why is that different? I don't have a good answer for you, but here we are.
Yeah.
Next up.
That's Netflix. They're very proud of that one.
Do you think, is that one or is the HBO static the most like iconic one right now?
Netflix is way more iconic.
I
now.
think so too.
This-
Okay.
They've stopped using the static. It has faded from the,
That's true.
like the Zoomers don't know.
Okay. Next up.
No, I don't know what that is. What is that? Is that Crackle?
That is Peacock, the brand of minority investor in Fox Media Comcast.
Well, it sucks. That's what I got. Whatever
I
that
know
one is
that
sucks.
as the thing that plays before every broad NBC comedy that I watch too many episodes of. That's the one I like hear in my sleep. That's Peacock. Next up.
Oh man, I'm having sense recollections of all these, but I couldn't tell you what they are. Can you play that again? No.
Your
I
hint is
don't-
Max would get that very quickly.
Max would get this. Is that Disney Plus?
It is Disney Plus.
Yeah. This is why I have a sense memory, because I'm hearing it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up.
It's very relaxing. Is that Sauna TV?
You're close. It's the new Apple TV sound. That's the new Apple TV sound. What do you think?
That's unfair. Who knows?
What do you think? Do you like it?
It's nice.
You want to hear it one more time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's melancholy.
It's very hard to imagine that sound going right into like a cold open to a Severance episode.
No, it is. I'm saying there's like a bittersweetness. There's a melancholy. Like, all the Apple TV stuff has like a bittersweet. Even Ted Lasso.
That is true.
Has a bittersweetness to it.
Everybody has regrets in an Apple TV show.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, we got a couple more.
That's some CBS shit. That's Paramount Plus.
It is Paramount Plus.
Yeah, like whatever. Like
good work.
That sort of like broad Americana, like bum bum bum.
Yes.
Like, that's just Paramount.
100% yes. Well done. All right, I have two more for you. I think you're going to get them both.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, it's another one. It starts with a bright light and it focuses, but I have no idea what it is.
That one's Hulu.
Yep.
Which for some reason, so we on this show did trivia with the Waveform folks at an Apple event like 2 years ago. And this was one of the questions was, what sound is that? And I got it wrong and it has pissed me off ever since. And so now I know what that is. All right, last but not least, see if you get this one. No?
I want to say that's like I'm going to go with Crackle again.
It's YouTube.
That's YouTube.
That is YouTube. That's the one that plays. That one's a little bit cheating because it plays when you open the app, not when you like play a video. But that's YouTube.
Do you have the sound that Plex makes when you open it, which is just the sound of money returning to your pocket?
It's the sound of the FBI picking up the phone. All right, that was you did pretty. I'm shocked you got Paramount Plus. Like that alone.
By the way, I didn't get that one because I knew it was Paramount Plus. I got it because it's so CBS. Like it's so over the top. Like just play it again. It's that last hit is like that's just old people. I don't even know how to describe.
No, it is. If I had said to you one of these was composed in 1957, you would have picked that one immediately.
It's like without question.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to play the Apple TV one more time.
Right, like this weird little dissonant minor chord thing, right? Like that's like the trap influence on audio trademarks, where CBS is like major chords. Like it's just very different.
Yeah, that's about right. Also, shouts to the podcast 20,000 Hertz, which has done a bunch of episodes on a bunch of these things. They're very good. I'll link the show in the show notes, digging into like how all this stuff works. They did an episode on the Hulu one, I think, that I particularly liked, which again, I should have gotten that right on the trivia, and I will never live it down. All right, that's it. It's time for us to get out of here. Nilay has like big shot stuff to go do. I'm not super clear on what you're up to today, but you have to go glad hand and kiss babies and stuff. So we're going to get out of here.
Vote Patel.
Vote Patel 2020, all of them. It's just, I don't even know what you're running for, but we'll vote for you. Before we get out of here, Sunday, another episode of Virgin History about the Fire Phone. Thank you to everybody who said nice things about the Zune episode, by the way. Definitely one of the most chaotic ones we've done, but we had a very good time making it.
It was like one of the first ones. We had no idea what we were doing.
No, none. But we had a great time. That episode, it's been fun to hear from everybody who like still has Zunes. So thank you to everybody. And a reminder, we're putting season 2 together now. And if you want to be on the show, send us questions or reminisce about either TiVo or the iPhone 4. We would love to hear from you. Also, a reminder, subscribe to The Verge, just in general, but also you can get ad-free podcasts. This show, Virgin History and Decoder, you can get all ad-free. We continue to hear awesome things from people about how much you like the ad-free podcasts. We like them too. Download everything everywhere. We've gotten questions from people who are like, why do I have 2 feeds now? The answer is so you can download more podcasts more times, and we will be very grateful. So thank you for that. If you have questions about anything we're up to, email vergecast@theverge.com, call 866-VERGE11 for the hotline. Jen 2 is on the show on Tuesday again with me. She's going to help me smarten up my smart house. This is I think the second to last time I'm going to be in this room, and then I'm going to move, and it's going to feel very weird. So Jen is going to help me make sense of my new place. The Vergecast is a Verge production, part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. The show is produced by Eric Gomez, Brandon Kiefer, and Travis Larchuk. Andrew Marino is here with us this week helping. Thank you, Andrew. Nice to see you as always. We will see you next week. Nilay, take us out.
Rock and roll.